twice.
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Buxton Selectmen Meeting for June 18th, 2025. Call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. The first order of business is a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of prior meeting minutes for June 4th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That would be... Tom wasn't here.
I was here
No,
June 4th.
he was on the 4th. He wasn't here on the 11th.
So that's 4 with 1,
Yeah, because he wasn't selected at the time.
right, so he's abstained. Approval of prior meeting minutes for June 11th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 3 with 1 that was absent and 1 that wasn't here. Discussions held between 4 and 7. At 4:30, Grace Mulhern came in. She is our rec director, and she's having a little trouble with buses, and Tom looked into that, and hopefully we'll have it taken care of. At 5 o'clock, we had an interview for the new assistant. That went very well. At 5:20, we went into executive session per 1 MRSA 4056A personnel. Came out at 5:30. At 5:30, Bill Hall came in, our treasurer. We talked about a few things that went on at the town meeting and just general discussions. At 6 o'clock, we had a resident come in to talk to us about the planning board, the vacant seat that's on that. And at 6:30, Hunter Cox came in, our assistant, and we talked about some hiring things. We are down a couple people at Public Works, and we're just trying to brainstorm on find some more people so that this winter we have enough people to plow. Projects and issues, Tom.
I don't have a lot to report since the town meeting on Saturday. I attended that with the rest of the board and had a real good turnout, and I think everything went pretty well. Other than that, I don't have much for the early days of this week.
Frank.
Yeah, I was in the office quite a bit, doing general business for the town. I did have a conversation with our Public Works Director, Kevin Kimball. The stop sign at the end of the Pennell Road was being overgrown with traveling weeds and brush and stuff, and Kevin took great care of it when I got that all cleaned up, so the stop signs are visible again. I had a meeting with a sergeant, one of the sergeants, Sergeant Donahue, about some possible criminal activity that's been going on in town that they're going to address. I had another meeting with our police chief, Kevin Collins, on a personnel issue. I had a meeting with Hunter Cox about another personnel issue. And I was been reviewing the town policy. There's some changes that need to be put into place in the town policy due to the passing of the town meeting and the contracts. We have to make some changes in the policies, and that's pretty much my week.
Chad.
Yeah, so much like everyone else there was at the town meeting, I just want to give a special thank you to our fire chief. I was really impressed after we realized that we were going to hit capacity of the place. The fire chief was able to convert the fire station across the street in minutes. A really good time. I think within an hour we were back in business. So they did an awesome job in that transition. So
I know it's your first week, but do you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out on Saturday to the town meeting. I was pleased with everybody that showed up. They filled the station up quite well, actually.
Quite well,
Right?
quite well.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it for this week.
I had a little bit of dealings with Public Works this week. They did some work up the town farm. There was a couple broken planks on one of the, it's not staging, but where people sit.
Oh, bleachers?
Bleachers. And they replaced the boards, and we had a couple trees that blew down at Pleasant Point, and they went down there and cut them up. They were a little too big for me to take care of. And as Tom said, we're at the town meeting on Saturday, so. Any old business?
No.
New business, the town hall will be closed tomorrow, June 19th, to observance of the Juneteenth holiday. Other new business,
Yeah, there is. After the elections of selectmen every year, the board votes for the chair and the vice chair. We've had some discussion about it, and I'd like to renominate David Field to remain the chair of the Board of Selectmen.
Second?
All those in favor? That's 4, and he's abstaining, I guess. You know you can vote for yourself.
I'll make a nomination for Frank Personi to be vice chair. All those in favor?
I'll second it.
Oh, okay. All those in favor? That's 4 with 1 abstaining.
Yeah, I didn't vote because you didn't vote.
Oh, okay.
Keep it uniform.
Executive order, Executive Order 2425-0606, in order to approve the changes to the town of Buxton's personnel policy.
We're
We're
gonna,
gonna,
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
we're gonna table that because we're not quite finished, and we'll bring it back up. Do we need to vote for table?
Well, I thought we did, but
Okay, anybody second that?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Yeah.
All those in favor of tabling is 5. Executive Order 2425-0607, in order to appoint Shelby St. Louis as the Town of Buxton tax collector effective July 1st, 2025, and commencing with the 2025-2026 tax commitment. Appointment affected until canceled.
Motion to approve.
Second,
All those in favor? That's 5. Executive Order 2425-0608, in order to accept the paving bid from Taton Sand and Gravel at a price of $89 per ton.
Motion to approve.
second,
All those in favor? That's 5. The other bids were Shaw Brothers was $94, and Allstate was $104. Executive Order 2425-0609, in order accepting the seal coating and crack seal bid from Coastal Road Repair for $23 per gallon.
Motion to approve.
second,
All those in favor? That's 5. Executive Order 2425-0610, in order to approve a change in the electrical permit fee from
7 cents per square foot.
7 cents per square foot to 9 cents per square foot for commercial buildings only.
Is that correct?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? That's 5. Executive Order 2425-0611, 11, in order to approve 50 hours of vacation leave for Kevin Kimball.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? That's 5. Any executive orders by initiative?
No.
None.
Executive
No, accounts payable.
accounts payable and payroll warrant, Executive Order 2425-0612, in order approving expenditures as documented in payroll warrant 102.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? That's 5. And that amount was $105,319.29. Executive Order 2425-0613, in order approving expenditures as documented in accounts payable 103.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? That's 5, and that amount was $175,924.48. Next meeting of the boards, next selectmen meeting will be Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, at 7 PM. The next planning board meeting will be held on Monday, June 23rd, 2025, at 7 PM. There'll be an appeals board hearing Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, at 7 PM. Any other business?
I don't think so.
Public questions and comments?
Steve, I'm Buxton. Last week it was, I meant to ask or let people know that the,
Hold on a minute, David. I don't think that mic is plugged in. Sorry, David.
no problem. Last week, I meant to ask about the fee schedule for the transfer station. I've had people ask me where it is. And you go on that, again, the new website, I've voiced my opinion on that 3 or 4 weeks now, and I'll bet it was 10 to 15 minutes before I found the fee schedule. Nowhere's near the transfer station section of the field. It was under documents or something like that, which, I don't know. I've had people look and they say it's not on there, and I went looking for it and I found it. You really had to dig for it. And I know there's a lot of people asking for that schedule. All I'll say is, I wish the information would have been handed out earlier. I said something Saturday morning when they got ready to move over across the street, and there was some, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but there was an open mic, and it just wasn't good. That's all I'll say on that. Looking tonight to look back at some of the minutes, it goes down through and there was a couple of them, and I think it was because you guys had to go out of order because there wasn't enough people here last week to vote on them or whatever. But I went back and looked at some of the minutes, and it goes down through, and then there's nothing listed beyond the executive sessions. It's just listed announcements, blah, 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 and public comment and question. There's nothing on there.
Is that for last week's?
That was for 2 or 3 weeks that I looked at. Like I say, last week I don't think the minutes were on there because there weren't enough people here or something. And
Right.
Week before that there weren't, but, so I went back a few weeks because there weren't any minutes in there. And then when you get back there a ways, I looked back at some of the minutes, and executive orders, and then, what is it, 3 things or 4 things you go through after that, and there's nothing there. Somebody come up to me after the, I don't know why they come up to me, but they come up to me after the meeting the other day, and they wanted to know if there was any way that you can get all the articles that have to do with the fire department together, all the articles that have to go with the police department together, instead of the fire department, and then way at the end of it, you're voting for something. The police department, same way, it was at the end of it. Well, fire department, there was 3 things.
So separate all the capital items and put them into the department that wants them?
Well, not so much put them in, but put them together so that the articles
Right.
come, one after the other.
Gotcha.
So that if somebody's interested in, voting for, or they come here for the fire department, or for the police department, or for public works, or something like that, and not have something come up at the very end that has to do with that department.
Yeah, but the way that the town report is written, David, is all the operating budgets, fire, police, rescue, dispatch, all the capital improvement articles, whether it's public works, fire department, police department, there's a special section for all capital improvement. That's why they're separated from the operating budget. Could it be done that way? Probably.
Somebody come up and asked me, and I said
Right.
I'd bring it up. So, I don't know. I know that's the way it normally is, but well, it was close to it. It wasn't afterwards like the retirement thing was voted on. That was towards the beginning of it. That wasn't at the end where all the other ones were. And they just come up and ask me
Right.
if they could be brought together. So I figured
So we can discuss it.
I'd pass it on.
See if it can happen.
I'm not sure who that, Just John, I guess?
Yep.
Yep.
And you never said anything. I've heard that there's a recall. When is that happening?
Recall for what?
I think it was posted
Not
today.
recall, I'm sorry, not a recall,
Recount, June
Recount.
28th,
It's going to be the 28th.
28th,
8 AM.
Saturday morning,
Yes,
must be.
yep.
And it'll be here.
The last one wasn't, but
No, it doesn't need to be televised.
I guess that's it.
Anybody else?
So my name's Michael McDonald. I was here the last meeting. Most likely I'm gonna be here the next meeting. The generator's still on at, right next to my house. It's getting louder. I recently downloaded, a friend of mine had told me that I could download a decibel meter on my phone, so I did. And I'm watching the generator go up in decibels, not down. This morning it was at 60 decibels during the morning hours, which I know the phone's probably not as accurate as what was done, but it still gives a reading of some kind. It's getting louder. We're smelling fumes now. When the wind blows our way, strong fumes. They've barricaded it in with sheets of what looks like plywood from where I live. And it's just really, really frustrating. We don't even dare leave our home because we know this is it's recorded. And it's hard to leave the home together My wife, she doesn't work. She stayed home. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of stumped. Something has to be done. I can't afford the $20,000 for the lawyer. I can't, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping somebody's got something that we could do, and anything. My next door neighbor on the other side came down this morning and spoke to one of the ladies out front. And, she wants to complain, but she couldn't be here tonight. And I feel bad because I have a recording on my phone of actually inside her recording the sound from within her home, and you can hear this thing just as clear as day. It's so loud now. It's gonna have a catastrophic failure. I'm glad it rained today. I hope that nothing does happen as far as a fire, electrical issue, or whatever it might be. But this thing's getting louder, so it's telling me it's getting tired. Whenever anything gets louder that's mechanical, you know something's about to snap. So I got a text today from my wife, and it explained that, you know, they're trying to restart it after it ran out of fuel, and it wouldn't restart a few different times. And I'm kind of hoping it just fails and this can be over. I don't know. Really confused, really tired, and frustrated. That's all I got. Thank you for listening.
Patty, could you update what is going on so that he is aware of what we've been trying to do?
Sure. So I've been back out, and yes, they do exceed the decibel noise level. It's 63 on one side and 57 on the other side of her property. I did ask her again yesterday to turn it off at night. She said she would. I guess she isn't. However, they did disconnect the connection to the dryer plug, so they're not backfeeding anymore. So the safety issue for emergency services or for themselves has been resolved. They're using it with an extension cord like a generator is supposed to be used. And it looks like they're running their refrigerator and one other extension cord to the generator. So we can't go to a judge for an injunction on a noise ordinance violation. We have to go to district court because there's no safety issue anymore with the way they have it working now. We'd have to take them to district court if the board decides to do that. And what I'm doing this week is asking the attorney for a time frame and a estimated cost of what it would take to get this taken care of through the court system so that the board, when I bring it to them, has an informed decision on whether to take it to court or not take it to court. But that's where we're at.
I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but we are trying. I know it isn't,
If it's on at night,
She's ignoring
she's,
the letter
I mean,
that was
she,
sent.
yes, she's ignoring us.
can we call the police at night?
Can they come over and say there's a letter and you're in violation of the letter? Is that a possibility?
From
I
what,
believe it's a zoning ordinance, not a law. I don't think they will get involved.
We've already tried.
Because it has to go through district court, and a judge has to say it's gotta be shut off. And then we might have more leverage, but until then, we don't have the authority. I don't have the authority, and I don't think the police do either.
So you have to contact the lawyer.
I have already done that. I have not heard back yet.
And once you do, can you let us know what the timeframe is, how much longer we have to?
Yep, I'm gonna bring it back to the boards because they have to decide. I can't take people to court. The board has to make that decision.
So what we'll do is we'll come next Wednesday, see what the decision is. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, we are, I know it's not what you want to hear, but it is being worked on. She's doing her due diligence to get it taken care of,
I know Patty's doing everything that she can do.
so,
I call in every day.
yep.
And tell them what's going on. So, thank you.
Anybody else?
I always get the wrong mic. Can you hear me? My name's Debbie Bickford. I did look at the website, and I did find the schedule fee for the transfer station, but it is indeed a little buried. I'm really accustomed to finding things online. I would say it took me about 3 minutes while I was sitting there, but it is a little cumbersome. I can totally understand how people who don't spend a lot of time doing any kind of research or using a computer would have a hard time finding information. That being said, I wanted to publicly thank the moderator at the town meeting for encouraging people to come to select board meetings and hear how things work. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm here, trying to understand how it works, how things get worked on and such. I think Dave mentioned something about people asking him if it could be organized in a different way, and I just wanted to, I'm gonna just hold this up. Before I went to the meeting, I went down through every single one of the warrants, and I blocked them off into 10 warrants each, and I put a title on one, and I just put maybe no more than 5 words for each warrant with the number beside the warrant, so that, in other words, the number of the warrant. And then if it involved money, I put the total amount of money, gave myself a little reminder of what it was about, so I knew where things were and how they were gonna fall. By the way, I'd never been to a town meeting before. Not gonna lie, I was extremely disappointed that I couldn't stay because I had a prior engagement. That's why I wasn't very happy when we had to move, because I was hoping I would get at least more than halfway through. I never got to see the end of it, which I was disappointed about, but at any rate, I even had a lady next to me take a photograph of this so that she could kind of follow along, because I saw people feverishly trying to find the warrants in the town report. And that's really hard to kind of wrap your mind around what you're reading and then try to follow what the moderator is doing and understand. And then I have a question, one question. So so the select board works on warrants all the time. Do I have that correct?
Well, as far as paying bills, you mean, or like every week, you mean the warrants we approve every week?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around the bigger picture about how this governing body and how the rules, this is right at my eye level, so I can't
Sure.
like talk to you but, so when I come to the meetings, it's, pledge, old business, new business, people who came in, and then when is the work on the warrants, I guess, maybe that's how I should ask it. When is the work on the warrants themselves actually done? Because I know you do a lot of work on these warrants, and that's why when we finally get to the town meeting, you guys have already done a lot of work.
Yep,
That work has been done.
Yep.
Except I don't have a picture of when exactly that work is done.
so that's all the budget process, and it starts in January-ish and ends in hopefully April, May, so that the warrants can be printed in that book. So that goes on, the budget committee meets every Tuesday night. Was it every Tuesday? It is, it starts a little slow as some of the nonprofits and whatever. Every one of those warrant articles that came in that was budget-related, money-related, including department heads, including select board, go in and present the warrants for like the streetlights and the revitalization, those type of things. Every one of those gets run through the budget committee, who was a few of them were there at the meeting. And so that's like a process that starts, right after the first of the year usually, and runs until sometimes into May. But then these warrants here are just the accounts payable and the payroll warrants, so.
I figured that.
They're a combination of all those other warrant articles put together, and the money's being spent through these articles. So you could go through the accounts payable warrant and find whatever for public works, and that would be under either equipment repair or yada, 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 in that budget itself,
So
so.
if you had to put what this select board does, its duties, its basic duties every Wednesday. I'm gonna see if I have this right. You meet with townspeople either through individual meetings or people who happen to come in because you have office hours. They might have a specific question, or it might just be they're coming in for your office hours. Something might be more private, and you might have to go into executive session. Then you start the meeting at 7 o'clock. And the function of the select board meeting at 7 o'clock until you end is to approve already pre-approved things like payroll, people coming up and asking questions. Am I missing something? What else is, because it obviously has a structure, it's just not clear to me. What else do you do besides what I just,
On Wednesdays only?
yeah, on Wednesdays only?
I mean, other than adding on to what you say, if department heads come in, or if there's something happens and we need to talk with the insurance company, or our accountant will be coming in to work on reconciling the budget shortly.
That's good. Like I said, I'm just trying to learn, and
Yep.
anyway, I
Yep.
wish I could have been there for the whole meeting.
Sure,
Thank you.
no problem.
Debbie, you just dropped a piece. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's my...
Keep it for a souvenir. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for adjournment at 7:32.
So moved.
All those in favor? That's 5. Have a safe week.